And when a woman makes money, she's not thinking about how this money impacts her entire community or her entire immediate family. Those are the pressures that men have naturally because men are leaders. Men think about the family. Men think about how I can protect the household. Men think about how I gotta. If things go wrong, it's my fault. If it's a single mother and she raised a child and he turns out to be terrible, what they gonna say? He grew up without a dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if he comes out good, they're gonna praise the mom, right? They're gonna praise her for, oh my God, she did the best she can do, whatever. Just like it's a meme online. A black woman working at McDonald's, strong black queen. A black man working at McDonald's, a broke ass nigga. Like that's how people see. That's how people see the world.
Cause the world is advantageous to you guys. It's designed for you guys.
Okay.
It's designed for you guys to win. So when you don't, it's like, hey, what's going on with you?
Okay, and this is my problem though. Even around the conversation that we're going to get into about black men not going to college, right? And we already started, guys. So my bad. What up? We ain't introduced ourselves. We ain't did nothing. But let's go. Let's get it. But there was a study that came out, published by the New York Times, and it was kind of centered around Howard University. How Howard University is like one of the prestigious HBCUs in DC. 19% of the enrollment are black men, down from like almost 38. It probably almost always been dominated by women.
Mm-hmm.
But like 38, 40%, that's kind of even, right? Because it's usually like a mix of other, white, Hispanic. Because Howard is just not a HBCU. It's a real good school.
Right.
It's in DC. It's very diverse in DC.
It's the creme de la creme of HBCUs.
And the creme de la creme of schools. I mean, a lot of people go there, right? Mm-hmm. So 10%, 15% other, and then the rest are black women. So now the new study come out talking about Howard University dropping with male enrollment down to 19%.
Okay.
However, so that sparked the whole conversation. Black women online shitting on black men for not having careers, not having jobs, not going to college. So you know me, I stand for the fellas. So I started doing some research, right?
Mm-hmm.
Black men enrollment in the military, up. We can have a debate about which one is a better alternative. Going to the military, getting out and getting $4,000 a month and all those lifelong benefits, or going to college, getting a sociology degree with $50,000 in student loan debt and not getting a job. Because when we talk about these degrees that black women have, or even black men, right?
Mm-hmm.
It ain't like they getting engineering degrees. It's not like a lot of these degrees, if we take out some of the degrees that don't matter anymore in the marketplace, sociology, psychology, communications like I got, it ain't that many good degrees that black people in general are getting. So people online shitting on black men about not going to get these worthless degrees, I think it's an argument that they're making a financial decision that makes more sense.
When you're saying good degrees, you mean like STEM
If it's not
programs,
something that qualifies
math,
you to do something, meaning law, you literally have to be barred in order to practice law. Medicine, right? You have to pass a test. You can't just walk in and be a nurse, right? Mm-hmm. But my degree, communication, anybody can start a media company. Anybody can become a journalist. So my degree is worthless, basically. If I didn't own my company, I'd be in trouble. I'd be broke as hell, right? Because it ain't that many jobs paying six figures or the amount of money that I make to run a media company or even be a journalist, because that's what I am. So here's my issue. Okay, y'all say black men, y'all not getting the degrees, y'all worthless, y'all career ain't doing this. This is what people were saying on Twitter, right? I'm not saying you're saying this. But then on the flip side, all my friends, black men in their early 30s with degrees, all of us make over six figures. I was trying to think of a friend that I'm close with that don't make over six figures. I can't.
Are they single? Ladies, you guys might need to hit James
most of them are
contacts on his friends.
2 of them are married. The rest in like committed relationship. I got one that's really, really single that y'all, if y'all want to hit me up, I need to hook him up and plug him. But all of us make bread. So women on one hand say these dudes without degrees, women say, these the women on Twitter now. Mm-hmm. The black women on Twitter are saying black men with degrees are not leaders. They're not focusing on their careers. This is why black women are
they saying that
unmarried. They're
in
saying
comparison and contrast to black women?
yes.
Okay.
And then on the flip side, all my lit friends that got degrees, that got money, that got houses, that got cars, that's traveling around the world, that got businesses, they say we not the catch. And we need to humble ourselves and all of this. We are the catch, but it's either black men.
Do you mean you guys are the catch compared to other black men who don't, or do you mean you're the catch compared to the woman in the situation?
We're the catch compared to all men because this is what women want. They
Right.
want a black man, education, money,
I agree with
degree,
that.
leadership qualities. So what I'm saying is a lot of y'all are hypocritical when it comes to y'all dating standards. Y'all don't want to big up the men that meet y'all standards. Y'all trying to nitpick and find a reason why he's not the catch. But then when a guy is nothing, he don't pay no bills, he ain't got no money, he ain't got no education, then y'all want to shit on him. So it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too.
I don't disagree that the man who has his life together is the catch compared to the man who doesn't. Have
He's
his
the
life
catch
together.
compared to, like, period.
Yeah.
Men
I mean,
and women, though. Like, he's the catch. The man is always the catch because it's easier to replace the
So you're
woman.
saying that if both of us have degrees, we both have good jobs, right?
Yes.
You're the catch?
Correct, because it's more of you. It's more women out here with master's degrees, law degrees, that look good. That's easier to come across.
I
We just
respectfully,
said-
I
I mean-
respectfully disagree because even if you had a situation where all men had their life together, right? Like let's say there were
It's
no
more women than men,
Let's
though.
say there were no bum men, right?
Right, and no
all
bum
of them
women.
had together, and no women are the prize. If you got a small percentage of men who got their shit together, and a large percentage of men who don't have their shit together, right? The woman's like still the prize.
Not really, because you guys become a commodity, meaning you're on every single campus around America. I had a mentor that said,
So
"Don't
you think that the fact that men haven't handled their business and that there's only a small percentage who are is creating a situation where they're now the prize? So you're rewarding them for not
not
handling business?
No. I'm saying when all
You're
things are
rewarding
equal.
the small percentage of men who are doing what they're supposed to do for
You're
doing
not-
what they're supposed to do.
No, when all things are equal, education, income, character, and looks, the man is the catch because he's harder to come by. Because there's always my mentor said there's always a bad chick graduating from Spelman. It's always.
So you're saying the volume of it?
Correct.
Yeah, I just disagree because to me that's indicative of the fact that men are not the catch, because if there were the catch, then more of them would have their stuff together.
Not okay. I think we're having two different arguments. All I'm saying is, if men and women are equal in terms of all the intangibles that each want, statistically, the man is the catch because, for one, it's more women than men in general.
I understand what you're saying.
Especially when you talk about black men, because there's more black men incarcerated. Then when you take out the LGBTQ community, right? Now you're left with guys like me that's young and lit, and I got options.
Okay.
I got more options as a 31-year-old black man who's built $1 million business, who make good money, and I live in America, no felonies, no crazy, no baby mama drama, none of that. It's harder to find me than it is to find, like, my friend who's a black woman with a law degree. I mean, it's easier to find that. All right. Black men enrollment at HBCUs dropped to a new low to 26%, down from 38%, which was a new low in 1976. So the 26% is in 2023. That's the number that was reported on. Ironically, black men obtaining bachelor's degrees is up. And that is, they're talking about all black men in all colleges, so predominantly white institutions. I went to a PWI. So now the question is, why are black men choosing PWIs over attending HBCUs? Because there was a big study about Howard University and how 19% of Howard University is now black men. I think it's probably 60 or 70% black. It's 60% black women, and then the other group, meaning white, Hispanic, Asian, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
represents a more
Larger number
percentage and a larger percentage of
than
the
the men.
population than the black men.
Right. I saw that.
So, why do you think that? Why do you think black men are not choosing HBCUs?
Well, I mean, we just talked about the fact that way more black women are going to college, period, than black men in general. And then the HBCU specifically,
I think
I don't know. I can't speak for other people, but I know that HBCUs are very expensive,
very,
and they're very difficult to get into.
very
And they're not always going to be in your hometown. So that means that you may have to
travel and leave.
live in a whole different state. You don't have the option of really living at home, where you might if you go to your own state university where you live.
Yep.
I just think that there's a lot of cost associated with it.
I think it's also a culture as well. And when you get this is a very unfortunate thing, right? And don't take this as a shot. This is just statistics. I always do statistics. Whenever women become the predominant of whatever not social class, I would say whatever career field, somehow, some way, that career field starts to lower its income, and then they start to talk about how things are worthless. Like, let me give you an example. Social work. Do you know, like, in the 70s, social work was like a top income, like it was dominated by white men, and men in general, and that was like a top income earning career. But then once a lot of women got into it, and then a lot of minorities started getting into it, suddenly the incomes started going down. So now social work is like kind of the bottom of the barrel when it comes to income. So what I think it is, I think it's like a revolving door.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I think a lot of women are always late to the party. So, like right now, what's dominated by white men? AI, engineering, high tech, stuff like that. By the time it started becoming dominated by women, and especially black women, they're going to be like, oh, well,
The programs are writing themselves now.
Yeah, the programs are writing themselves. Who needs a coder now that a lot of minorities and all of that are getting into it? So it seems like the money always shifts when it comes to women dominating something. So in terms of the HBCUs, for example, I think black men are doing exactly what I did when it comes to deciding. I got a scholarship to go to Howard University, and you're going to laugh when I tell you how much it was because I thought it was a lot. I grew up in the hood. I got a scholarship for $5,000 to go to Howard. I'm from Detroit, so I would be moving out of state. I'm thinking like 5 G's, that's good. Like, how much does college really cost, right?
Man, that school's like $50,000 a year.
I sat down with my counselor, and she's like, yeah, this costs about $50,000 a year plus traveling expenses plus living XYZ.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not going to Howard, right? And then I decided to go to my state. We didn't have an HBCU in Michigan, so I decided to go to my state school. And I think a lot of black men are making that decision, again, because we think for the household. I was helping my grandparents out. I was helping my parents out. So if I would have left, I'm leaving my income that I was making, because I worked 2-3 jobs my whole life until I started my company. I always had a job. So if I was leaving my whole family to go to this school, and I just didn't see taking out $150,000-$200,000 in student loans in order to go to a HBCU across the country. I didn't think that was the smartest thing to do. I thought going up the road to a PWI was the smartest thing to do economically. And I think I turned out good. Some of my friends that went to HBCUs that don't have jobs right now, they're in trouble. Like, I got a friend, she has a master's degree, and she was in a PhD program. She went to the HBCUs. She literally cannot find a job. She's like on Instagram, like begging for a job. And I tried to offer her a job, but then she damn near got a PhD. So now she like, oh, I need to make $150. I'm like, well, I can't pay you $150.
Right.
So, and then a lot of black men are going to the military. And some are going into trade. We need a lot more going into trade. My problem with black men not going to college is a lot of them do the analysis economically and say, oh, it don't make financial sense to return on investments. And a lot of them sit their ass at home and don't do nothing.
Right.
So that's my biggest gripe with like a lot of men saying they don't want to go to school. What are you going to do?
What's the alternative?
And the alternative, you know, is sometimes sitting at home playing a game all day, not doing shit. So that sucks. But, you know, we already had the conversation about women being the catch. But let's talk about the big story. Pinky Cole. She done made the podcast 3 times in a row. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, she's like the Hall of Fame for us
I sent
right
the
now.
video to you. I was so confused. I was like, can you explain this to me?
Okay, so go ahead, read what's going on, and I'll try to do my best to break down what's going on.
All right, so basically, Pinky recently made a video online where her expressions looked very distressed, and she was talking about there's a new owner for Slutty Vegan, and that although it pains her to tell us that there's a new owner, she wants us to show up and show out for the new owner. She wants us to support like we've never supported before. And then at the end of the video, you see her in a Slutty Vegan uniform walking into Slutty Vegan and kind of, you know, giving a gesture of like, ta-da.
Right.
So I didn't understand what the video was. I didn't understand who the new owner was. The second part of the video was giving that she's the new owner.
Right.
But then people like myself are under the impression that she was the owner to begin with. So how can you be the owner and then you're the new owner?
Correct.
And then she later came out, I think, with another video or some kind of statement saying that she bought back her company. So apparently at some point she wasn't owning the company.
Right.
I don't know. I was really beyond confused. And you explained it to me off camera.
Right.
But I would love for you to explain it again for other folks like myself who were confused.
Right. And I don't have any proprietary information. This is all just my business knowledge, knowing the business, because I'm a fan of Pinky Cole. I've been following the brand. I started my company in 2020, but I've learned about Slutty Vegan when I didn't have a company, when I was at the gathering spot. Nobody knew my name. I was new from Detroit, and she used to always have her food truck at the gathering spot, and that's how I was able to try the product out. I literally watched her go from like 8,000 followers to 1 million followers. So I've always been a big fan of Pinky Cole as a businesswoman. So what people don't know is when she started her food truck, and then she had the flagship restaurant. It's not on Edgewood. It's somewhere else in Atlanta. I'm not familiar with Atlanta, but it's the smaller one that's like kind of like a corner, like it's on a corner, whatever. The people who listen to this, you know where it's at. So she had lines wrapped around the block, right? And with that momentum, she parlayed that momentum into an investment. So when you invest in a company, if I own 100% of Slutty Vegan, and I invest, or somebody invests $25 million in my business at a $100 million valuation, that means the investors own 25%, I own 75%, along with whoever else is we don't know who else owns Slutty Vegan. Maybe part of her husband funded it. Maybe it was a silent investor or co-founder that we don't know about. All we know is Pinky Cole. So let's just go off the raw numbers. Investors 25%, Pinky 75%, okay? All right. Some of the key investors: Richie Lou Dennis, founder of Shea Moisture, black man, successful, sold his company on Sundial, sold his company to Unilever for $1.6 billion. He's rich as hell. He got money. He has a fund called New Voices Family, right? And they invest in women entrepreneurs.
Okay.
They also bought Essence from Time Magazine in like 2019. So he owns Essence. Him and the investors own Essence. And they were the lead investor along with, his name is Danny Myers.
Okay.
So Danny Myers is a hospitality entrepreneur and investor. He owns a company called Union Square Hospitality Group. So when Slutty Vegan did the partnership with, this is all according to Forbes and Pinky Cole's interview. So I'm not making none of this up.
Okay.
Shake Shack and Slutty Vegan did a Slutty Burger or whatever in like 2021. The guy from Union Square Hospitality Group saw that and was like, He was very impressed. There was lines wrapped around the block. At first, he was confused. He was like, "What the hell is a Slutty burger? Like, what is that?" Right? He's an older white dude. He's like, "What is this?" And then he learned the story. He learned the brand. He met Pinky Cole, so he was very impressed. She put together an investment group. Him and Richie Lou Dennis led the group for $25 million. All right. And the $25 million was for expansion for 10 restaurants, which at the time she only had the food truck, and I believe she had 2 restaurants at the moment. So this is going to expand in multiple cities: Baltimore, Dallas, more around Atlanta, some out in Gwinnett. Now the airport, the Brave Stadium. All of this is in the plan, right? The problem with the Slutty Vegan story is it only got positive PR. So all you seen was, oh my God, Pinky Cole can't lose. Oh my God, she coming out with 2 books. She got married. You know, she started a family. She's had 3 kids since over the last 3 years. So she's like living this dream, right? So she was propped up as this black woman entrepreneur, speaking at every event you can think of, Black Enterprise, all of these events. She's speaking at, right?
Right.
And I'm proud of her. I'm clapping, you know.
Absolutely.
But based on these stories, a lot of restaurants started closing. And it's not just a Pinky Cole Slutty Vegan story. It's the overall market of the plant-based meat whole
industry. Yeah.
So Kevin Hart started a company there. He shut his shit down in like 18 months. He started losing money. He like, yep, nope, it's a wrap. Beyond Meat went from $100 million company to $14 billion back to $100 million. Like they literally lost $14 billion in market cap. So it's not a Pinky Cole story. It's more so the industry in that that type of meat. People just, once you taste it, the Beyond Meat, it's like, oh, okay, I'd rather just go get a burger if I really wanted it, right? So she opened up all these stores, and then we start seeing stories. Dallas shut down. Okay. Brooklyn shut down. Like, damn, okay. Georgia Tech shut down. You're like, damn. The flagship store that she opened shut down. Athens, Georgia, next to UGA, that never even opened. I mean, they boycotted that because they thought she was the black woman from the Black Lives Matter. So restaurant businesses are very thin margins.
Yeah.
Very thin. And then the straw, I think it's the straw that broke the camel's back or whatever. I don't know the saying, but
Yeah.
with Spelman University. When Spelman, she shut that down, I was like, hold the fuck on. Then you start looking at her website, and she got like 4 or 5 other things closed down. So now you're like, what is really going on here? There's more to this story. Then she comes out with the video. So what happened from my analysis and my perspective is, to be honest, this shit was never doing well to begin with. When you get capital, you have to spend it. But what she did wrong is she started living an entrepreneur high life, took her ball off running Slutty Vegan, and she had 7 other things that she had going on. She wrote 2 books. She was speaking every other week at some type of conference.
So she was heavy on the marketing, too heavy on the marketing, and not heavy enough on the running the actual business.
She actually hired multiple people to run the business, right? And she kind of took her eye off the ball and allowed them to run the business. I mean, she had 3 kids back to back, so you know she chilling. Like, she's a new wife, a new mother, so like that's another unfortunate situation. We could talk about that, about how just business in general is set up against women, and like you said, it's set up for men, because if the man had 3 kids, everybody applaud. Woman had 3 kids, now they like, damn,
why aren't you focused on the business?
Why aren't you focused on the business? Are you serious about the business? And then she had a tragic, well, I wouldn't call it tragic, but she had an unfortunate accident where a damn bed hit her car. I don't know how a bed hit the car.
Yeah, shattered her windshield on the freeway.
Shattered the windshield.
Real scary, yeah.
So based on her story, she said they being the investors tried to take the company. And the way you take the company is, if I invest at a $25 million valuation and the revenue's not there, the company's not growing, now my equity isn't going to go down.
Yours is, because if you can't just buy me out, then I just need more equity.
Correct. Slutty Vegan was a $100 million company based on the investment. Based on the cap table, Pinky Cole owns 75% that we know of, in the 25%. The 25% is not going to go down. It's the 75% that's going to constantly get diluted. See, this is what people don't understand. With company dilution, you can lose your whole fucking company when you constantly get diluted because she was not able to get the second, the third, and the fourth round when you raise capital. So now it's their company now. So once she had this accident, they went around looking for a CEO. And Slutty Vegan has what's called, like I told you, key man risk.
Right.
Key man risk is the face of the brand is so pivotal to the brand that if the face is removed, it now becomes a very risky business because...
So you get insurance to protect that.
Correct. People are associating Slutty Vegan with Pinky Cole. If
Right.
Pinky Cole get kicked out,
then Slutty Vegan is done.
Slutty Vegan is done. They're not about to go support this white restaurant, Danny Meyer dude, and they're not about to go support Richie Lou Dennis ass.
Yeah, it's the same thing that's happening with Diddy and Bad Boy Revolt and all of that. He
Correct.
was the key man. And so once his brand is tarnished, everything that's associated with him is now under
Everybody thought
jeopardy.
Diddy owned Ciroc. So now people ain't fucking with Ciroc no more because Diddy's no longer the face of it, and they thought he was the reason Ciroc blew up. So now they basically were trying to replace her. They were trying to find a person to replace her. And in the midst of that, she also was able to somehow get the company back. But what people don't know is she was very smart. She used to buy the real estate and lease it back. She used to buy the real estate personally and lease it back to Slutty Vegan.
Yeah, which is the smartest thing you can do. That's the same model that Cookout and McDonald's use. Why
Correct.
McDonald's became one of the...
So this is my theory. This is my theory of how she got her business back. Number one, they probably took all those properties and took that real estate. They probably like, let me get that. Right? So they got some of their capital back. Stealing wealth from her. You want the business back, they're going to take it. Here's the problem. Even though she, quote unquote, got her business back, if that business blows up, guess who's going to come back and be like, hey, we're the benefactors of this? They are. They basically, in my opinion,
either way,
they basically have her in the 360 deal like a rapper. Mm-hmm. This is how the investors have Pinky Cole, because if the business blows up, the investors are going to be like, oh, yep, we own 25% of that, or we own X amount of percent of that. And if the business does nothing,
then they're going to buy blood. They're going to get
blood, sweat, and tears. They're still going to get their money.
They're going to recoup their investment.
They're going to recoup.
Like Pooh Shiesty said.
So, I mean, let's go back to the Mark Cuban thing. Now, do you think Mark Cuban was right to tell black women not to get investors?
Well, I said on the day when we talked about it that what Mark Cuban was saying at its foundational roots was correct. I was just saying that the likelihood of that happening at a volume where black women are going to be outperforming other demographics just might not be probable, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And I think there's a bigger story that's about to come out that's going to shake the streets on the whole Slutty Vegan, revamp, doing all of this. I would give it probably by the end of the year. There's going to be some news.
I mean, I believe you, because the whole PR thing, she's getting ahead of something. So
yeah, there's going to be some news that, I've been kind of getting tipped off on, but I don't, it's not coming from the horse's mouth, right? It's not coming from the direct source, so I'm not going to say what's going on, but I've talked to some people that's close, and the business is in trouble. I will say that. Because the industry is down, the restaurants, you need capital to grow, and investors don't get out of a winning ship. Why would I sell you the business if it's winning? Investors don't work like that. That's not how that's not how they got rich. And we know one thing, money's gonna always win. So
that's crazy. For me, I thought it was more of an expansion thing. But the business side of it does make sense. It's difficult to get around it. And it's difficult to work really, really, really hard and then still live the same type of lifestyle that you were living before. You know, a lot of times the reason that people are working hard in our community is so that they can have more and scale their personal life just as much as they're scaling the business.
Yep.
We want to be in better cars. We want to be in better houses. We want to buy more real estate. We want to go on vacations. We want to scale our personal life at the same time that we want to scale
That's
the
the black
business.
tax.
That's the black tax, and that's not always, or not even always, but it's a lot of times not the best move.
Oh, okay. Think about this. All right. You're an investor, right? You give James Hill $10 million to grow Black Millionaires, right? Right now, I don't have a Bentley, right? I have watches and stuff like that. So I do have, Rolex watches and stuff like that. So I've had that before I met you. Okay, that's cool. I don't have a $2.5 million penthouse. I don't have a yacht. I don't have a Bentley. But the minute you give me the money, a year later, I got a Bentley. I got a multi-million-dollar wedding I'm doing. You get where I'm going?
I do.
You see what I'm saying? I'm living this lifestyle. I got all this stuff going, and I'm speaking, and I'm writing books, and I'm doing all this. That ain't got shit to do with the main business that I took the investment from.
Right.
You're going to start being like, hold the fuck on. Like, what's going on? And then your whole story is you're going from rags to riches. That's a problem, and this is why rich kids get rich and poor kids stay poor, is because wealthy people don't want to trust a poor kid coming up with their money, because a lot of people never been around money. If you listen to like the CEO of Snapchat, the owner of Snapchat, he was already living in a fucking multi-million-dollar mansion in Malibu with his parents while he was a billionaire. Mm-hmm. He was already living there. So he come from money. He didn't have to go get a multi-million-dollar mansion. He already live in one.
Right.
So.
But that's the black tax, like you said.
The black taxes. You got to go get a Bentley. You got to travel and tell everybody how you did it. You ain't even been successful 10 years, and you giving speeches on how you became successful. It's all PR. It's no real meat behind the bones.
I've always said that. And that's been my problem with the scam Lanta influencers.
All of it.
But I digress.
Let's digress. Let's go and talk about the poster child of DEI is Target, right?
Right.
And I made this chart because I wanted people to understand how economics and business work. So, have you been going to Target? Have you been indulging in the bullshit with the boycott? You guilty? Oh shit! Hold on. Hey, she been going to Target.
Oh my gosh.
The black community, she's been going to Target.
I have dramatically reduced the amount that I go to Target. I used to go to Target like multiple times a week. I'm not going to lie.
She's been going to Target.
Since the boycott, I've been to Target twice. I don't want to sit on camera and lie. My back was against the wall one time, and the other time I just needed a product that was specifically at Target. I'm sorry.
She's been going to Target. All right. Thousands of people worldwide are boycotting Target and other organizations, but Target's been a poster child for DEI and the DEI pullback because they were so...
They were the first.
They were the first, and they were the loudest, too, because they had a black-owned, Latin-owned wall in Target. I mean, it was like blackety-black on the aisle. And then they say, oh, we're pulling back DEI as soon as Trump wins. So that was a big issue. And a lot of people believe the solution is to go to their competitor, Costco.
Apparently, it's been working.
Apparently, it has been working, but here's what I want.
I stand corrected because I originally said it wasn't going to work.
Oh, yeah. Costco foot traffic is up probably 13 to 14%. And Target foot traffic apparently is down, but I'm going to be honest, I'm not with the boycott shit. So when I go to Target, it seems like it's more black people in there than before. I be walking in.
Are you sure that's not just because you're in Atlanta, though?
And I be walking in and I'll be like, damn, I thought all y'all was boycotting, right? We even posted a video of a lady boycotting. But I researched the two companies, Costco and Target, because I wanted to know who's the real owners of this, who controls this company, because they both are public companies.
Let's go, James. Oh, my gosh.
As of December 31st, 2024. Now, this can change because a quarter has went past. Shares can be sold off or whatever. But the top five, would you believe that the top five shareholders in Target and Costco are the same
wait.
exact?
I was gonna say read the ones from Target. I'm gonna read the ones from Costco.
Okay, the top five shareholders in Target as of December 31st, 2024, they collectively own 30% of the company. Vanguard, they own 9.87. State Street, they own 7.78. BlackRock, they own 7.78. FMR LLC, they own 2.5%. Bank of America owns 2.1%.
All right, and now we can jump into Costco. Vanguard again owns 9.51%. BlackRock again owns 7.83%. State Street, another repeat, owns 4.8. FRM LLC 2.13 and Bank of America owning 1.54. So they have the exact same top 5 shareholders.
Yes, and they're a publicly traded company, so you and I are individuals, so we, can trade in and out of stocks.
Wow.
But essentially, these are the same companies that owns your that manages your 401k and your Roth IRAs. So when people think they're boycotting Target,
they're boycotting their own IRA accounts.
It's damaging your own IRA accounts because these companies that own Target owns and manage your fund. So you can't, because Target is too big to fail, you can't get around shopping and spending money with Target or spending money and putting money into these investors' pockets because they are the ones who run and own Target and own and run Costco. So that's why I'm saying the boycott stuff is stupid because what are you really boycotting? Because
Yeah,
these
and
are
who
the
are you hurting and whose bottom line are you ultimately really affecting?
Exactly. Now, what you could do is channel some money towards black-owned businesses, but y'all don't want to do that.
That's too simple of a solution.
That's too simple of a solution. Al Sharpton is going to tell y'all, nah, we just going to boycott Target instead of we're going to directly channel our money to support smaller and medium-sized businesses.
And that's where I will give a shout out to Pinky Cole because she was trying to do that with her group economics.
You talking about that show?
She was just doing like experiments with group economics where she would get on her Instagram and be like, hey, for this week we're going to be supporting this black-owned business. And then she would tell the story of who the person was, and then she would let everybody know how they could support. And she was literally like raising like 20s of thousands of lots of money for people. By just doing that, by doing just what you said, which is highlighting one specifically black-owned company and then telling people that if they have a need for that product or service, to please go check them out.
Right, I love that. It's definitely a temporary boost to the small entrepreneurs.
It creates awareness, though.
It creates awareness.
So, like, if I didn't know about your product, right, then I might become a repeat, customer for you. So
if you earn my business or if you get my business from the shout out from Pinky or someone similar to her, and then you continue to earn it by repeatedly delivering on your product or service,
yes,
it's a win-win for all parties. So I do love that. However, what I want people to start thinking about is just make that a part of your day. Make that a part of your mindset to shop with a local small business. They are the people that really hire. Like small business, most people work for a smaller company. Like everybody don't work for this big public company like Target or Walmart, even though they got millions of employees. It's 300 million people in America, right? So supporting a small business is really directly supporting that entrepreneur and directly supporting that, those employees, because the trickle down is a lot easier compared to the trickle down at Target. When you spend money at Target, that shit going in all of their pockets. These are the people that's getting the top dividends. These are the people that's doing the share buybacks. These are the CEOs of these companies are getting the bonuses and all of that. So it doesn't trickle down to the employees like you think it should. So
you have a point there.
You see what I'm saying? It don't trickle down. If you spend money with...
If I'm a black-owned business, I'm going to hire other black people. So the better my business does, the more people that look like me that I can hire.
Right, unless you go off the rim and, instead of hiring new people, you do bullshit like buy a fucking... buy a G-Wagon like all the black influencers doing. Like, that shit is dumb as hell. Even if you're doing it for a tax write-off, it's still dumb.
It's the pressure.
It's the pressure of being
A black entrepreneur.
entrepreneur.
You said black entrepreneurship is so toxic.
Black entrepreneurship is toxic because no matter what, once I become successful and I get invited to all these events, when you go to these black events with influencers, everybody in there trying to one up each other, trying to show how much more money they have than the next person. Instead of saying, like, you know what? When I go to these events, nobody ever asks me how many employees I got. Nobody ever asks me, what's your profit and loss for the month. Now I have some of these private conversations with my friends,
Right.
but like when you go into these
At
events,
the actual networking event.
no, they talk about my Rolex watch.
Yeah.
They talk about the car I drive. Oh, I'm about to get this mansion. They talk about my designer shoes. They talk like it's all a show off. Black entrepreneurship is very toxic because black culture is anti-wealth. People want to push. They want to push the narrative of, if you don't look rich, you're not rich, and I'm not really about to support you. So a lot of black entrepreneurs get caught in that trap of, well, I got to look like I got money so people can support me. And the problem is, and people say, well, white people do it too. Yes, they do, but they do it in pockets. So the reason black entrepreneurship is toxic is because the white man might have one thing he like. It's my house. You go to a white person's house, their house decked the fuck out, nice as hell, they drive a
But
Honda.
their car is regular, their clothes is regular, but
their watch is regular, whatever. You go somewhere else, or they might be a boat person. They just got a boat.
Yeah, but they got a regular house.
They got a regular house, regular car, whatever. They got a nice boat. Or they're a car person. They got a souped-up car. Then you go to their house, it's regular, whatever.
But we got to be lit on every front.
You got to be lit on every front. If I get a nice car, well, I can't hop out the car in some regular shit, so I got to get some designer. If I'm wearing a designer, I got to get a watch. If I'm wearing a watch, I got to get the glasses. I'm wearing the glasses, I got to be in a high rise. That's $8,000 a month. I can't be going to sleep in some regular starter home. What the fuck is a starter home? So we do the whole thing as if we're billionaires and we're living like this lifestyle, and then eventually it all craters because
it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. Once you go up, like I Swear Vezo, the rapper, he talking about he bought a fucking $500,000
car,
and he thought it was gonna help his business. What are you talking about?
The look, though.
The look.
Yeah.
But he already got $100,000 worth of jewelry on. He's already told everybody he rich.
But the look is hard, man. I done went and bought me a Rolex because I was in a situation working with others and everybody had one. I was like, why am I the only one that got no Rolex? I went and got one the next day.
See, that's what
I
I'm saying.
wasn't thinking about no Rolex. But
pressure. You got a Rolex now. I mean, you ride good. You got a good car. But you also own assets, though. That's the difference. It'll be different if you like.
But
you
still,
got Rolex
but
and you got
still,
this and that, but you don't got no assets.
But still, I don't need it. And so the thing is, because we want to be on the forefront of trying to be that key man and trying to be the face of it, that's the tax that comes with that. Because
Correct.
if we just quietly worked behind the scenes, me and my best friend were joking, like, we know all the owners of the restaurants that are lit in Atlanta, right? Like, people are like, oh, MCK, who owns it? We know exactly. But who owns SDK? My homegirl asked me, like, who owns SDK? I said, I don't know who owns it. She said, we don't know. And that was the whole point. Is like, why is it that when we are, successful or owning something, it's like, see me. I need you to see me. Like, there's some kind of validation that internally we need closure on so that we can kind of pull back on that type of behavior. There's something there, and I'm pretty sure that it comes from the culture and colonialism, because I'm not even Black American, I'm African, but we still suffer from the same exact thing, because even on the continent, white people did a number on us, making us feel like we're not as good as them, and we feel like that, and they're not even there. Like, in America, those white people are right here with us every day, like, what's up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that. But imagine being on the continent and there are no white people even around,
And
but
you
there's
still
still
feel
that, okay, yeah, it's still there.
It's because society tells you're not. They tell Black people or African people, whatever. It's all the same thing to me. But, everybody be talking this FBA and all this other bullshit. That's some bullshit to me. Whatever. Black people in general, African people in general, the world, everything about the world and society tells us we're worthless. We're not enough. We're not good enough.
Yeah.
Right? Even like there are books that teach little girls, and the name of the book is You Are Enough. So if you're a little girl, you growing up, you reading this shit like, why? Mommy, like, why the fuck is this book telling me I'm enough? Am I not enough? You see what I'm saying? Other little girls don't have to grow up with books telling them that they are enough and your hair is beautiful. It's like,
Yeah.
well, why the fuck do you have to tell me my hair is beautiful?
Because those things are put in place to counteract what's happening.
Right,
so I
but-
understand what you're saying. I just had that conversation with somebody else who was like, Donald Trump's doing the right thing. Get rid of all that DEI, because when you do that, then you have other people who say, who use the terms DEI as a derogatory thing, saying like, you're not good enough, you're just this, right?
Yeah, you're just
so
the high.
I understand, but like, is that really the fix? Because you got to remember why those things are there in the first place is to counteract the fact that we have been told that we're not enough in 10 different ways. So I understand what you're saying, but it's like, ignoring the problem is not going to make it go away. So we
I'm
do
not saying
have to
ignore it.
Yeah, but we do have to have some kind of strategy, because clearly we're all still suffering. And it's not just kids. Like, we're grown adults acting like this.
I think it plants a bad seed. Just like the seed, I hate growing up. I don't know what kind of schools you grew up in, but I grew up in the fucking hood. Mm-hmm. And one of the speeches that they used to always get some black dude who's probably a banker at the local credit union or some shit, and walk in and say, "Look to your left, look to your right. One of you gonna be dead. One of you gonna be in jail." What type of shit is that to go in the 4th grade class to tell some people?
But is he lying, though, is my question.
What he should be doing is say, the reason these guys end up dead or in jail is because they're fucking illiterate and they can't read and they can't earn money because they don't know how to add or sharpen their skills. So what
Correct.
they should be doing is say, we gonna teach all y'all motherfuckers how to read. I don't care. Like, you're not leaving here not knowing how to read.
Whose job is it to help them learn how to read? Not the banker at the local credit union.
No, it's the teachers and it's the programs and it's the parents. That's what we should be saying. But
the district and the funding problems. There's just so many.
But instead, we go in there and we say, yeah, one person's going to be dead, one person's going to be in jail. Like, damn. And then one of y'all going to be a single mother, one of y'all, like, damn. Like, how do you know this? Like, why you planting that seed?
Well, the numbers, the statistics, they're talking based on what's actually happening.
But people live up to the expectations you give them. So if you plant that seed of you're going to be a single mother, then the girl is going to grow up, and if that happens to her, unfortunately, okay, you play the cards that's dealt to you.
Right.
But being 5 years old and telling a girl that, or being 9 years old and telling a little girl that, or being 9 years old and telling a guy he's going to go to jail or he's going to die to gun violence, it's like, why the fuck is we planting this? Like, why are we planting these seeds? We're not going, but on the flip side, these little white kids got Bill Gates going in there and saying, yeah, you can be a Supreme Court justice. You could be you can run Microsoft. You can do that. So they look at that and they're like, oh, I can be that. They strive for that. And if they end up just being a managing director at some local, finance company, they're okay with that. But their ceiling is so much higher, and ours is,
but
one of y'all gonna be dead or in jail.
That's the proximity and exposure too. So I understand what you're saying. My dad used to make me ride with him to drive around and like look at mansions when I was young.
That's
and he
good.
would be like, he would ask my mom like, you gonna come with us? She'd be like, why do I want to go look at a bunch of houses I can't afford? And my dad would be like, okay, that's cool. And then he'd get in the car with me and he'd be like, hey, I'm not taking you to go look at these houses because I'm shopping for a house because I can afford this tomorrow. I want you to see how these people are living so that you know what the range is, for when you start to try to aim for what you want. You can't even aim this high if you don't even know that this exists.
Imagine if he took you to the worst hoods in Chicago and said, this is going to be where you're going to grow up in the projects over here. Like, damn, you would be like, well, fuck it. I might as well grow up in the projects.
I mean, I was growing up next to the projects, which is why he was trying to show me what was going on the other end. Yeah, even though my parents owned their house, but we literally, like, this wall was the fence, and on the other side was the projects, and we lived on this side. Like, that's just what it was. But you're right, though. You do live up to the expectations that you're given, and I think that's why it's also important as, like, adult people, parents, to – this is going to be controversial, what I'm saying. This is a hot take, right? But I don't think that we always need to share with young people, like, all of our pitfalls right away, right?
Correct.
So, like, if I tell my son – at a young age, like, yeah, I was addicted to drugs back in the day, but I'm recovered and I'm this. He don't necessarily need to know that at that point, right? Because it's like whatever mistakes your parents make, in your mind, you're like, well, if I make that mistake, they can't really say too much to me because they did it, right? So if I was 16 when I got pregnant and then my child doesn't get pregnant until they're 18, they might look at it like, well, my mom was 16.
I'm doing better than
doing
you.
better. Exactly, right? So I think that
You set the bar very
higher,
low.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then be relatable. You know, you never want to make it seem like I'm perfect. I didn't have any obstacles. You want to be relatable to a point, but you definitely don't want to be oversharing negative things, because literally kids will literally use that as, you know what I mean?
Justification for doing dumb shit.
Yeah, like you smoke. Why are you smoking around the kids? Go outside. Go somewhere where they can't see you, because ultimately they're gonna look at you as the example, and they're gonna want to be like you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So try to expose them to as much positive as you can. So I get what you're saying with that.
Yeah. Get rid of all the.
I think it's like more of a scare tactic.
Yeah, I don't.
You know,
I don't
scared
like that.
straight kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't like that. Don't. Like I cussed the guy out. I got in trouble or whatever when I was in like 4th grade, because I'm like, no, the fuck we not. I'm like, no, we not. Like, why are you telling us this? Like, I'm gonna be rich. Like,
Yeah.
I was saying this type of stuff, and then they were, yeah, maybe you, because you're the smart one. You're the, like, they telling me this like I'm the smart one.
I know.
And I'm just like, damn, like what did all the other people think?
No,
Like, damn, maybe I'm dumb.
Yeah, I hate that for us.
But
I totally hate it for us.
all right, guys. I know we've been kind of off schedule, but we're gonna keep going, man. I gotta show you something once we get off here. I'm thinking about getting working on getting a new spot. It's huge. It's a building.
So, okay.
Yeah, let's get it. All right, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this out. Follow Shorty Mac on Instagram. Follow me at Jameshilltv, and make sure you follow the brand at Black Millionaires.
Yes, sir. SHortymackATL on all platforms.
Boom.